as if there is nothing is unfolding, nothing scandalous in that parliament. So we are saying the Speaker, Right Honorable Anita Annet Among, should step aside. If possible, she should be arrested.
Test themselves from the cardinal role of doing what they are supposed to do as our leaders. It is true that I will not distance myself from what my brothers have just requested. The Right Honorable Speaker Among should resign. And it is our duty as citizens of Uganda to call for that, especially the young people, because you are the main people who are suffering from this, especially the elites that you have just talked about.
Country. We know that this parliament that we are talking about every day spends 2.6 billions every day. Parliament of Uganda, presided over by Anita Among, spends 2.6 billion per day. We ask ourselves, what kind of life? No wonder the Honorable Minister of Environment, Beatrice Anywa, we saw her on the floor of Parliament requesting for saloons, massage parlors, and discos at Parliament. For us as Ugandans, ordinary Ugandans, we are only alarmed by the lot in this Parliament.
We have got two categories of people in the country. There are those who are benefiting from our taxes, and those who are the taxpayers, those who have been benefited from. Yeah. Article 3 of the Constitution is very fundamentally clear, and those who wrote the Constitution knew it would happen. The Article 3 says, all citizens of Uganda shall have a right to defend, shall have a right and a duty at all times, 1, to defend this Constitution, in particular, to resist any person or group of persons seeking to overthrow the established constitutional order, and to do all in their powers to restore the Constitution after it has been suspended, overthrown, abrogated, amended, contrary to its provisions.
My name is Aaron Ainomugisha. I am the founder and team leader Rise Against Poverty organization, RAP Uganda. RAP Uganda is a network of different stakeholders, different professionals, different people who have a common goal of ensuring that we can have a better country, promoting civic education, advocating for transparency, and other issues that we handle on a daily basis. So with me, fellow members who will of course introduce themselves, but now we immediately switch to the cause as to why we are here today. As you all know, I know as journalists you've been following what have been transpiring in our country. A lot of issues have been transpiring and are still unfolding in our country, Uganda, especially in the 11th Parliament. You've seen a lot of scandals, and most of these scandals have gone untackled. They've gone uninvestigated, as if the situation is normal. And we are concerned. We have been engaging the people in different communities, and they are also concerned. So for the Parliament, we are here to present to you what the people have told us. And as activists, as concerned citizens, as agents of better service delivery. So you all know that recently the Speaker of the 11th Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Annet Among, was accused of allegedly swindling and participating in misappropriation of billions of money. Of course, shortly later, the President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, came up to defend her which was of course perturbing, and it raised a lot of concerns in those who are working towards promoting transparency and fighting corruption. That was a sign that there is no political will in this country in as far as fighting corruption is concerned. Besides that scandal, you've also seen other issues like the allocation of huge sums of money to MPs, some staff at Parliament. You've seen reports from the committees of Parliament that you go and investigate it, yet they come to the desk of the Speaker and they end up in the dustbin or somewhere that we don't know. So that's a very big issue that you cannot just sweep under the carpet. And of course, we have taken it upon ourselves to come up and address such issues. So, unfortunately, matters have escalated to an extent that now the UK, and Uganda currently, we are the head of the Commonwealth Parliament. We have some position that you hold there as leaders. But now our Speaker has been sanctioned. So these are the sanctions. 30th April 2024, where, the Speaker and former Minister Goretti Chitutu and fellow minister, former ministers, two ministers, former Minister Goretti Chitutu and Minister Agnes Nandutu for Karamoja Affairs, together with the Speaker, have been sanctioned. That's a drop in an ocean based on the scandals that are happening in the country. But when you see how the country has welcomed these sanctions and how now the Speaker is coming up to defend herself, for us who have been closely following scandals, we see her defense and we can touch through. So we take it with a grain of salt. We cannot completely believe in what she's saying. So we are saying, if these sanctions have been declared, should it be an eye-opener for the government of Uganda, for the leaders, for the politicians, that we are not doing our job to fight corruption in the country? The Speaker of the 11th Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Among, has been sanctioned. So which means she is not fit to continue presiding over this parliament. So as Rise Against Poverty organization, RAP Uganda, we are saying she should step aside. She should step aside, because even before the sanctions, she had already been implicated in other huge scandals. And the president defending her, it means Parliament does not have moral authority. Over 500 members of Parliament, almost, they are very quiet. They are silent as if there is nothing is unfolding, nothing scandalous in that Parliament. So we are saying the Speaker, Right Honorable Anita Annet Among, should step aside, hand over, or give the office to the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Thomas Taibwa. The anti-corruption agencies should immediately commence. They should immediately start investigations into the allegations against the Speaker, Right Honorable Anita Among. If possible, she should be arrested. She should be arrested so that the process of investigations is not tampered with. We are calling upon the President of the Republic of Uganda, Your Excellency, the people that you're supporting to be in offices are rooting Ugandans. You should know that we have over over 45 million people in this country, most of them who cannot afford 3 meals a day, most of them who cannot afford the basics in their livelihood. But we have very few people in the government who are supported and shielded by the president as untouchables who are rooting this country. So we cannot sit back as if there is nothing is happening in this country. So our call is very clear. Wherever you are, you need to start from where you are. Wherever you are. And as Ngugi wa Thiong'o said, my brother, the struggle starts with you. So whether you are a journalist, whether you are a member of parliament or any other politician, you are a community leader, you are a religious leader, you are an ordinary person in the market, somewhere in the farm, wherever you are. Start from where you are, stand firm against corruption in this country, Uganda. Then we expand or extend the frontier. Other than that, there is a very big trouble here. Because when you see someone who is trying to portray herself as untouchable, yet they have corruption scandals against them, I think we need to take action. As an American writer and political activist, Upton, said, I intend to do the little one man can do to awaken the public conscience. And in the meantime, I am not frightened by your menace. So, Ugandans, let us wake up. To the elites, please, Dr. Chiza Besigye said that the elites deserve the hottest part of hell. I think he was right. When you're driving your Porsche cars through the potholes in Kampala, okay? When you're paying a lot of money to purchase fuel, when you're going to hospitals, your grandfathers, your grandmothers, your great-grandparents, your wives, your husbands are struggling to access medication in the hospitals. When your brothers and sisters are struggling to access education, when you yourselves, the elites, you're struggling to afford daily life, but you still sit back as if there is nothing is wrong in this country. You are betraying this country, the elites. So you need to wake up. You need to wake up. So as Rise Against Poverty, we are doing our part and we shall stay on course, because as usual, we have been doing our part. So let's please stand up firm and fight corruption and other tendencies that are hampering smooth service delivery and of course development of this country. Finally, the Right Honorable Speaker Anita Among has been trying to find some defense, hiding behind the Anti-Homosexuality Act, that they are targeting her. No, that's a lame argument. And then how she stops fellow leaders from doing their job. When you find you're leading a parliament, you're presiding over a parliament of over 500 MPs, but most of them are afraid to speak in parliament. They are intimidated. Lack of decorum as a speaker, denying them a chance to do their job, and then you come back and say, I think I'm being targeted. That's a lame argument. And as a speaker, she should in fact apologize to the country for denying the MPs a chance to do their job. So she should stop hiding behind the Anti-Homosexuality Act, because in fact, the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Thomas Tayibwa, is the person who initiated that issue. And later, Anita Among jumped on it. Why are they not sanctioning the president who signed the bill into a law? Why are not sanctioning former Speaker, Right Honorable Rebecca Ritwara-Kadaga, who was very vocal some years ago? So that's just hiding behind the Anti-Homosexuality Act. And as people who follow what is unfolding in the country, we say we take it with a grain of salt. Her defense cannot stand. So the speaker should really stop thinking that everyone should sweep her scandals under the carpet. So to Ugandans, all the voters, you have the power. This is the constitution. Ugandans, whether you are educated, whether you are not educated, literate or illiterate, whether literate, whether illiterate, so long as you are a voter. So this is your power. Utilize this constitution. We are saying if the MPs cannot actively participate in processes of impeaching the speaker, Right Honorable Anita Annet Among, if they cannot wake up to speak against the scandals in this country, especially in parliament, then the voters should utilize Article 84 to recall those sleeping MPs. Because when you read Article 84 verbatim, subject to the provisions of this article, the electorate of this constitution, the electorate of any constituency and of any interest group referred to in Article 78 of this constitution have the right to recall their members of parliament before the expiry of the term of parliament. So they are sleeping. They are sleeping.
I'm by the names Peter Mpaka from the National Unity Platform, and I am here in concert with fellow colleagues to speak as an ordinary Ugandan concerning the thieving and broad daylight robbery of our country as practiced by the 11th Parliament and during this regime of President Museveni. First and foremost, I welcome the sanctions, or for us in the NUP, we welcome the sanctions imposed upon the Speaker of the 11th Parliament. But we say that the UK should also take a big step and sanction President Museveni, because he is the superintendent of this country and the mentor of these so-called leaders that are rooting our country. For example, we know that this parliament has passed a budget for State House, where State House spends close to 2 billion per day. And for us as honorary Ugandans, we ask ourselves, what type of food does President Museveni and Mama Janet Kataha Museveni eat on a daily basis that requires the consolidated fund of Uganda to spend 2 billions? What type of guests do they receive? What type of life do they live that 2 billion should be spent on two elderly leaders we have as a country? We know that this parliament that we are talking about every day spends 2.6 billions every day. Parliament of Uganda, presided over by Anita Among, spends 2.6 billion per day. We ask ourselves, what kind of life? No wonder the Honorable Minister of Environment, Beatrice Anywa, we saw her on the floor of Parliament requesting for saloons, massage parlors, and discos at Parliament. For us as Ugandans, ordinary Ugandans, we are only alarmed by the lot in this Parliament. I want to bring this to context because I'm personally a lecturer of medical laboratory sciences and a senior laboratorist in this country. Uganda has been lagging behind other East African countries in the enactment of the transplantation law. So around October last year, Parliament passed that law. It was discussed and approved and enacted by and assented to by the president. And it was a ray of hope to a myriad of Ugandans who have been dying of these complicated diseases simply because they cannot raise the money to go to foreign countries to have operations which cost over 300 millions, 400 millions, 200 millions, at least 150 millions. So when the transplantation bill was assented to and it became an act providing an environment within which operations, high specialized operations can be conducted in, it was a hope to Ugandans. And on 20th December 2023, Uganda had the first kidney transplant on Ugandan soil, thanks to our expertise from the surgeons in Uganda and other expatriates who came from India. But we are so alarmed, the ordinary people, to find that the transplantation operations have been put on a halt simply because government has failed to provide 5 billion for the constitution of the Transplantation Council in Uganda. Of course, the council, according to the Transplantation Act, has got roles and purposes that it should provide for before any operation can be done. But the government is saying we cannot provide 5 billion for the Transplantation Council. So it alarms us, the Peter and Packers, the taxpayers, when we cannot raise 5 billion for a medical council that is so important, that curtails medical tourism, because I've said every operation, whenever somebody goes out, takes over 250 millions, even if you're going to a neighboring country like Kenya. When I was reading, I saw that the operation, if it is carried out on Ugandan soil, will only cost 46 million, at maximum 46 million. Government cannot provide to help the little citizens, the poor citizens, little money as 5 billion to help this process to go on. And we have a speaker who is swindling. We have State House, which is swindling 2 billions per day. We have members of parliament who are, at the end of every month, they are in the speaker's house. Some are taking hundreds of millions, 50 millions, 40 millions for passing of this and the other. So we see this as a deal house. And we are here to call every sane mind of every Ugandan to arise and support this call against the corruption, against the practices of injustice, against the stealing that we see in this country. So lastly, as I wind up, I want to call upon, and actually I want to reiterate the words of our President, Bobi Wine, that for us, we call upon every leader, we call upon our international agencies, we call upon Ugandans to call upon the international world development partners to sanction these leaders who are involved in stealing us while we are watching. Why isn't Robin Anabanja also sanctioned? Because she's the leader of government business and she's among those who stole the Mabati. Why isn't the Minister of Finance sanctioned and the Minister of State for Finance, Mr. Rugorobi, why are they not sanctioned? Why are all the other ministers that were involved in that scandal of stealing Mabati not sanctioned? So for us, we say the reason why there are no drugs in the hospitals is because Anita Among and her office are busy rooting Ugandans. The reason why bridges are collapsing and they are not worked on is because the reason why roads are full of potholes, Kampala is full of garbage, is a smelling capital city in Africa, the most disorganized city in the whole world, is because the leaders we have are actually misleaders and they are rooting every kind of little resource that would be used for the development of our country. So I join the voices of those who are calling upon the stepping down of the speaker so that there can be a clear inquiry and investigation into this rot in the 11th Parliament. Thank you very much.
The team that is here, my name is Denmark Adios Ainomugisha, and I am from Forum for Democratic Change, FDC, but mainly Katonga. I want to add my voice on what my brothers and friends from Rise Against Poverty have just said. It is our duty and our prime role as citizens of Uganda to demand what is ours. And in this case, what is ours is to reclaim the full authority of managing and being the citizens of Uganda. Therefore, I think what Parliament was created for is no longer what surely we are looking at. The members of Parliament, including the Right Honorable Speaker, who is the leader of the Parliament of Uganda, have surely distanced themselves from the cardinal role of doing what they are supposed to do as our leaders. It is true that I will not distance myself from what my brothers have just requested. The Right Honorable Speaker Among should resign. And it is our duty as citizens of Uganda to call for that, especially the young people, because you are the main people who are suffering from this, especially the elites that you have just talked about, the graduates who have surely, I can even say, wasted a lot of resources going to schools, going to the universities, have sold their parents' assets, going to the universities, and eventually after that, they fail to get jobs simply because the other team that we think that our leaders are instead looking at satisfying their own egos. I call you, ladies and gentlemen, especially the young people, to join the cause. Anita Among must resign.